tried to take it out, but without pressing the button to see how... Okay.
I spent the entire day playing the Nintendo Switch 2. Or at least that's what I want to say. In reality, I had roughly 3 hours to play all Switch 2 games at the Nintendo Switch 2 experience in Toronto last April 25th. I honestly can't believe that I'm saying this, but I was invited by Nintendo of Canada to go hands-on with the upcoming console. So let me walk you through the whole experience from start to finish and my thoughts on the Nintendo Switch 2 itself. I live about 4 hours away from Toronto, and by the time Nintendo reached out to me, I had already tickets to see Metallica that weekend. So it was a total coincidence, but it worked out perfectly. The event was held at the Enercare Center at the exhibition place, and I didn't post anything about it beforehand because I was asked to keep it quiet until the day of the event, so surprise! Check-in was very smooth. I just gave my name, signed in, and they gave me a wristband and a gameplay badge, plus the companion badge for Knight of Crimson, who was acting as my cameraman that day. The first thing you saw when entering the hall was several hardware displays behind glass with the Nintendo Switch 2 console, the redesigned dock, which is very sleeker, with improved airflow and the Joy-Cons too, the new Pro controller, the Gamecube wireless controller, and a clean looking carrying case with space for new accessories. And then it happened. I actually got to hold a Switch 2. And it just hit me that I was among the first people in Canada to hold a Nintendo Switch 2, and I couldn't be more honored and happy about it. This Nintendo Switch was a brick unit, meaning that you were not able to turn it on, but I can tell you that the build feels way more solid than the original Switch, a bit heavier too, but not too much. It's slightly bigger, but it's still comfortable, and the kickstand is very, very sturdy compared to the original Nintendo Switch. Before trying the magnetic Joy-Cons, I wanted to test how strong they were, so I tried taking them off without pressing the button. The magnetic lock releases as soon as you press the buttons, but they snap right back in, and oh, that is a satisfying feeling, let me tell you. They snap firmly into place. No more wobbly controllers. Unfortunately, I can't confirm or deny anything about the drift, but what I can tell you is that the Joy-Cons are way bigger. The sticks feel very, very comfortable, and my hands weren't getting cramped at all when I was trying it. Overall, they feel great. Of course, they had a dedicated section for Mario Kart World where you could play both handheld and dock, so I tried them both. The game runs beautifully, 60 frames per second, smooth animation, no stutters, and I played the classic Grand Prix mode, this time against 23 other players. Obviously, I picked the cow as my main character. And one thing I noticed though, you can't really hold items behind you anymore to use them as a shield or block for anybody trying to throw some of the items at you. However, I did notice that the items stay behind you even though you're not really using them. I'm not sure if this is still going to be the same way for blocking attacks, but that's something that I saw when I was playing it.
We got first place! And look, the cat is very, very happy. Oh, it's wearing a little crown and everything. It's so cute.
Then it was time for me to try the new Knockout Tour mode, which is an elimination style race format. And one of the things that I liked about this mode is that you have free roam. You can practice and get familiar with the roads while you're waiting for others to make selections and for the race to be ready so you can start. The mode itself is kind of crazy, but it's super fun. You really have to pay attention because you can drop from first place all the way to the 12th place within seconds. So I think I was in third place and I was about to finish the race and I dodged a red shell with the feather item at the very last second. Yep, I won first place on the Knockout Tour. I was not expecting that. I was actually still shaking by the excitement. I was expecting to be eliminated super quickly. And when I turned around, I was surrounded by Nintendo staff clapping and cheering. That's a moment that I'll never forget. But guess what? We had a problem with the camera, so there is no footage about this. How convenient. So I'm just gonna leave you with these lovely but not useful footage of people's feet on the exhibition floor. Let's talk about the Pro Controller. It felt fantastic. Surprisingly, it's slightly lighter than the current Switch Pro Controllers. The D-pad and the analog stick feel tighter. Oh, and there are 2 extra buttons underneath it, which apparently you can map them to any button that you like. But don't worry, if you already own one of the regular Pro Controllers, Nintendo confirmed that they'll be compatible with the Nintendo Switch 2, so no need for you to buy a new Pro Controller unless you really want one. Next up, Donkey Kong Bananza. It's loud, colorful, and you collect bananas, smash stuff, bounce around. And honestly, this was the last game that I was expecting during the April 2nd Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. But after 15 minutes with it, I'm so looking forward to it. There are so many treasures to find, and the freedom to explore and smash everything is super satisfying. Of course, I had to try the Wind Waker for Gamecube. That was a must. If you guys remember, I got very excited when they announced it on the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. Oh, Gamecube is coming! Oh, Wind Waker is coming!
That looks like a cartoon come to life.
Oh my god, we're gonna be able to play Wind Waker. Oh, I'm so gonna cry.
And yeah, I know it's a bit disappointing that we'll only be able to play the GameCube classics on the Switch 2, but they're running at higher resolution. With the smoother frame rate, it's so understandable. The visual polish made it feel so fresh again, so I'm very excited to play the Wind Waker one more time. And that is also when I got to try the new wireless GameCube controller, which, by the way, I haven't ordered yet, or probably the pre-orders are not out yet, at least I haven't checked. Anyway, the controller feels just like the good old GameCube one. You can agree with me that this is the best Nintendo controller ever. This new version has 2 added buttons, which one is the C button for the game chat feature for the Nintendo Switch, and the other one is a capture button. Sadly, they confirmed that it won't be compatible with other Nintendo classics outside of the GameCube, and I doubt we'll be able to pair it with anything other than the Switch 2, or what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Okay, confession time. I wasn't excited at first when I heard rumors about a Breath of the Wild remaster for the Switch 2. But after seeing it during the Nintendo Direct and the Treehouse, I completely changed my mind. And we're not just getting Breath of the Wild, we're also getting Tears of the Kingdom. Then I actually played the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Breath of the Wild, and oh my god, it runs at 60 frames per second incredibly well. I even stayed away from all those mods out there because I knew that you were capable of playing Breath of the Wild on 60 frames per second with a non-Nintendo console, but I didn't want it to lower my expectations with, you know, the regular console. But now that I play this way, I'm so spoiled. I want to play both games again, Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild on the Switch 2. And trust me, the footage you're seeing right now doesn't do it justice. The colors, the sharpness, the smoothness, everything looks so much better in person. You really have to see it on the actual hardware to appreciate the upgrade. My only complaint, these two were tucked all the way to the back. There was no lineup for them, probably because they were hard to spot. They either needed to move them somewhere around more visible or put a huge Zelda sign overhead so people knew where to go. There was also a very quick reel showing the upcoming Zelda Notes feature, which looked very interesting, but it would have been nice to have an actual demo. Being able to try Zelda Notes on either of those games while playing on site would have been a big of a difference. And by the way, if you're a Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack member, you can upgrade to the Nintendo Switch 2 edition for free if you already own the original games for the Switch 1. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, it's definitely the reason why I'm getting a Nintendo Switch. All I needed was a confirmation that it was going to be a dual release, and I was counting the days until the event just to play this one. And let me tell you, it didn't disappoint. Clean textures, fast loadings, responsive controls. This is by far the best looking Metroid Prime ever. I was shocked at how easily the Joy-Con switched from the mouse-like feature. No menus, no setup. It's just instant recognition. You just put it on the mat and that's it. You're good to go. I managed to defeat the first boss in the demo and I wanted to keep playing. Originally, I had planned to start with the third-party titles to see how they run so that I can build up all the way up to the Nintendo Switch 2 exclusives or the Nintendo games, but the layout on the event was a little bit weird and I was forced to start with the Nintendo games. And I swear I didn't see Cyberpunk 2077 on that day. Not sure if they added that later, but it wasn't there for me to try it out. And that's the one that I wanted to try first because I wanted to see how well it was running and having to appreciate how well the Nintendo Switch 2 games actually run versus the third-party ones. I'm a bit disappointed that the welcome tour isn't free because we actually enjoyed it. It teaches you how the new system works with games and quizzes, how sensitive the new control are to how the new rumble features feel. And honestly, all of this should have been included with the price of the Nintendo Switch 2. It's packed with fun mini games and it's only $10. It's not that bad, but I still think that it should have been free. Knight of Crimson wanted to beat all the scores and collect all the badges, by the way. Last but not least, we got to try the upcoming Drag X Drive game. You get time to practice and learn the controls before jumping into a 3 versus 3 basketball match. You hold each Joy-Con to like a mouse to control both wheels and flick your wrist to shoot and score. That's basically how it works. You can also use like half pipe to fly and pull off tricks. I saw some people doing that. It seems like a lot of fun, but we weren't able to do any of those tricks. Of course, I wanted to stay and keep playing all day, but I hadn't a specific time to leave depending on the color of my badge. And I had roughly about 2 hours on my way out. I was giving this amazing backpack. You have lots of compartments and you even have like a dedicated laptop section on the back and a bunch of new compartments in the front. A zipper in the front, and it's actually quite big. So this is actually very convenient. Now, there are some downsides of the experience. First of all, as I mentioned earlier, the structure could have been a bit more streamlined for a smoother flow. There was no one available to talk about the technical specs of the console. The Nintendo staff were super friendly and very helpful, but only for their assigned games. They kept asking feedback, which was great, but they weren't really writing anything down. So I'm not very sure how the feedback is being collected. Also, we couldn't mess around with the menu, the new eShop, or explore the new user interface. Everything was locked into fixed demos. You had between 5 to 15 minutes per game, depending on the game or depending on the title. Now, this last one doesn't apply to everyone, but when you go into a media event such as this one, I found it a bit strange or very odd that companions weren't allowed to play. It felt strange that my companion or really anyone helping creators like me weren't eligible to try the console, especially when they're being part of, recording everything and showcasing it to a wider audience. On top of that, he wasn't eligible for a backpack either. He was honestly sad and disappointed. Even his companion badge reads the following: "Thank you for joining us at the Nintendo Switch 2 experience as a companion, not eligible for gameplay." That's what it says. And it also said "while supply lasts" on the backpack, but again, it felt very unfair. There were even moments when the staff were asking people to play games like Super Mario Party Jamboree for the Nintendo Switch 2 edition with Jamboree TV upgrade pack or whatever, because no one was playing it. So it would have made sense to let companions participate, especially when there were available stations. But it's also worth mentioning that a few of the Nintendo staff, they help us out and we were able to switch our badges between games sometimes. And some of them were very flexible. But again, I found it very weird that they had those limitations. I wasn't really expecting that, to be honest. So I really hope Nintendo consider this feedback to improve future Nintendo experiences. Overall, I had an amazing time. So thank you again, Nintendo Canada, for having me. It was truly an honor. And of course, thank you, all of you watching and supporting my videos. Let's be real, this invitation was only possible because of your support. I was already very excited for the Nintendo Switch 2, and I managed to pre-order mine, but I'll tell you the story of how I got a pre-order, but long story short, I pre-ordered it in Toronto. Now I have to go back to Toronto so I can pick it up on June 5th. So, but I guess that's a story for a different time. So stay tuned because I'll be unboxing it. I'll be sharing my first impressions and more here on the channel. Now, I know a lot of people are not happy with the price, especially compared to previous Nintendo Switch models. And honestly, I agree with you. It is more expensive, but from what I've seen, I truly believe it's going to be worth it. That being said, I totally get it if you decide to wait before pre-ordering it. But tell me, are you getting a Nintendo Switch too? What are you most excited about? Let me know in the comments. Huge shout out goes to all my channel members. Thank you very much for your generous support as always. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye!